Here we go. All right. So today, is that still full screen? There we go. All right. Today we're talking about French food culture. So kind of a mix of French food and kind of the etiquette and culture of eating, because it is very particular in France. All right, of course, and we're going to start with the word of the day. I think a lot of people know this one. Gosh darn it. Recognize it. Je t'aime. Any ideas, guesses? Have you heard this before? No.
No.
Okay. It just means I love you.
Oh wait, yes.
You have? I think it's maybe in like some songs or in Valentine's advertisements or something. So that's kind of why I picked it. And then I have this little video, good old Geraldine, and she talks about Valentine's Day in France. I didn't want to talk too much about Valentine's Day today because it's not super different over there, but she talks about a good couple of points here.
Salut, c'est Géraldine, bienvenue sur Comme une Française TV, sound French even to the French. Hey, today is the 14th of February. Little angels are shooting arrows into hearts, roses are everywhere, and French people are even more romantic than usual. It's Valentine's Day. If you're in a loving relationship, it's a fun occasion to say sweet things to each other and celebrate your romance. If you're single, well, today is also the Singles Awareness Day, so you have a good excuse to go out with your friends if you want. But is Valentine's Day different in France? What is the French people's view on romance? How can you translate a romantic date in French? Let's dive in. Valentine's Day in France is called la Saint-Valentin, la Saint-Valentin. There isn't a real connection between the tradition and the actual saint, but we tend to refer to some specific days with the name of the Catholic saint they're associated with. You will find more about that in the episode about Name Day. Check the link in the video description on the blog. Nowadays, la Saint-Valentin is a celebration of romantic love. It's la fête des amoureux, la fête des amoureux, Lovers' Day. Some say it comes from an old tradition, from the Romans of antiquity through medieval popes. But here in France, it's actually been forgotten for a long time. The relatively recent revival of the celebration mostly comes from the Anglo-Saxon version of Valentine's Day. Today is also the day of Cupidon, Cupidon, the angel Cupid. Be careful though, in French, Cupid is an adjective and it means greedy. You'll also find des cœurs. We say un cœur, heart, everywhere. So beware, this strange vowel sign and its pronunciation is E, and it's written O-E. We say E dans l'eau, E dans l'eau. The same as in un œuf, an egg. But let's now see what's at the heart of French Valentine's Day. So what do we do for la Saint-Valentin? Well, the most emblematic gesture would be to offrir des fleurs, to buy flowers for someone. It can be one rose or un bouquet de fleurs, a bunch of flowers. It's a good day for les fleuristes, florists. You could opt for a more delicious gift. For example, une boîte de chocolat, or even des bonbons sweets, which is also the name of a famous Jacques Brel song. And you will find a link to his performance in the video description on the blog. It's the one day of the year where you can be completely fleur bleue, naively romantic. So go on and write des mots doux, tender words in a card à l'eau de rose, that's sappy in French. It's a good day for those people who go all in on romance and fall in love so easily. In French, we say they have un cœur d'artichaut, an artichoke heart. But vegetable heart or no, we still often use little nicknames for our significant others. They're not the same as the most common ones in English though. Well, bébé for baby is popular, but to be honest, it's seen as very sappy. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. French people wouldn't use honey though, but rather mon cœur, my heart, or cute animal names. This can be simple like mon lapin, my bunny, or more mushy like mon petit chaton en sucre, mon petit chaton en sucre, my little sugar kitten. Or just weird but very, very common like ma puce, my flea. Fleas are cute, I guess. Of course, the all-time most popular pet names are still mon chéri, or ma chérie, for my darling, and mon amour, for my love, mon amour. Anyway, on Valentine's Day, it's also usual to go on a date, but I will talk about that later. And if you're not in a relationship, don't worry, at least you can play the I don't care card. French singer Anaïs made this funny song about that actually. It's called Mon amour, mon cœur, and deals with the frustration of hearing and seeing disgustingly romantic couples around. You will find a link to her song in the video description on the blog. There are some traditions that we French people don't do for la Saint-Valentin. In general, it's not seen as that big a deal for most people. Chocolates aren't an obligation, and no one would ask, will you be my Valentine, for instance. Also, it's actually quite popular not to do anything special for Valentine's Day as a reaction against artificial traditions or la société de consommation. La société de consommation, consumerist society, and all their friends. But well, why not? Sure, you should treat each day as a special one, but Valentine's Day makes for a good day to feel romantic. It can be fun. One very important point though, all these traditions for la Saint-Valentin only apply to your significant other in France. Don't give chocolates to your friends or teachers or whoever. I mean, you could do it because chocolates are always wonderful regardless, but know that it would be weird. Finally, I want to talk about one special difficulty French people themselves have with French language: how to translate the English a date. As you know, une date only applies to a calendar date, like today, tomorrow, the day before. Not to be confused with une date, a date as in the fruit from a Middle Eastern palm tree, you know, the small delicious one. No, the romantic word for date in French would be un rendezvous, technically, un rendezvous. But it's also the name for any set meeting and your doctor's appointment as well. So we would clarify, for example, un rendezvous romantique, maybe? Un rendezvous romantique. But sometimes dates aren't really romantic per se. They can be just fun or enjoyable. And some people could say un rendezvous galant as well. Un rendezvous galant. I think that would be the office.
So those are the kind of the main points I wanted her to share, because it's not super different than here. But she did say how like giving chocolates to other people besides the person you're seeing is kind of weird. And like she doesn't talk anything about how little kids give each other in the classroom little Valentine's Day cards and chocolates. Or I know back when I was a kid, my mom would always give me like chocolates to give to my teachers for Valentine's Day as well. So I think it's interesting how that's kind of seen in France. And then also the term rendezvous, and that I think I've heard it sometimes maybe around here, like a little date, but then also it's like a doctor's appointment or a bank meeting or something like that. So it's interesting how that's used. But yeah, and then also her part about how it's kind of turned into like a consumers and people making money off of it, which I feel like has done that at least as we got older. But that is all I have for Valentine's Day.
Salut, c'est Gérald.
In France. So we're gonna play another game of true or false, vrai ou faux. So if you wanna put it in the chat, shout it out, tell me why you think it's true or false. Let me know, because these I think they're kind of funny. All right, the word entree. If you guys ever read the menu like in the picture before, or the picture here, appetizers and entrees. Used in the US means main course in French, because that's how we use it here.
I don't think it does mean main course in French.
And yeah, so you're right, it's false. It's interesting because it is used, but it's used as the appetizer. So as we say, entree is like the main course, it's their appetizer. So I have a list here of the whole meal order. So the first one is l'apéritif, and that's kind of like cocktail hour or getting drinks beforehand. So obviously this is not like a daily basis, but this is the long version. So that's the first one. And then it's l'entrée or hors d'oeuvres. We use that word here too. And those both mean appetizers in France. And then the main course is called, it literally translates to like the main plate. So le plat principal. And then after you eat the main course, you have cheese, the fromage. And then after you eat cheese is the dessert. And then after you eat dessert, you have like, you sip on a little bit of coffee. And then after coffee, it's a digestive. And that is kind of popular around Europe. There's like digestive biscuits that kind of help bring everything together, I guess.
I think they talked about that in the Irish meeting also. I want to say John brought that up about digestive biscuits in Ireland also.
Yeah. It sounds kind of weird to us because that doesn't sound very appetizing, but it's just kind of like a light cookie, a light cracker to, I guess, I don't know if that biologically helps you or not, but a very European thing. All right, next one. Paris is the food capital of France. Vrai ou faux?
I want to say false on this one too, but I may be wrong.
Okay.
I want to say it's false, but I don't know.
You guys are both correct. So Paris, I think, is also seen as like the fashion capital of the world, or like one of the biggest cities in the world. But food-wise, there's a city, it's the second or third largest city in France called Lyon. That is the food capital of France. And I have a video here. I might skip around because it's kind of long.
Yay, I'm so excited. Eating healthy is obviously important to me. That's why Green Chef is the best. It's like the farmer's.
In January, the France 24 culture team went to the gastronomy capital of Lyon to film this show about the foodie wonders of the French city. But before we could broadcast it, the health crisis struck and restaurants in France were closed for 3 months. Things aren't completely back to normal, but we still want you to discover one of the city's most exciting restaurants.
Congratulations on your Michelin star.
Thank
You must be delighted. You're Brazilian, but you've lived in Lyon for 20 years. Why is Lyon the place to be for a young chef?
I came here to do my study in the Institut Paul Bocuse, and then I loved this city.
Why is Lyon the gastronomy capital, do you think?
I think it's about the origins of Lyon, because in Lyon we have a lot of cultures, and then we have a big history of gastronomy.
And Tabitha, you guys are going to cook for us today. What are you going to make?
It's called foie gras. It's smoked foie gras, braised endives, and pear, fresh pear.
Has anyone heard of what a foie gras is? It looks like this. It grosses me out because it's basically thank you. It's basically you take a duck and you like put tubes down its throat and force feed it to get really big and fat, and then you get the meat from there. And apparently it's kind of like a delicacy, and the way the ducks are fed or put in that process gives it a different taste. So it's kind of weird for me, but very popular in France. Let's see if there's a place I want to skip around to. We'll skip to him. So the food specifically in Lyon, it's very meat focused, and you'll see kind of like the different meats that are well known.
We have brie and camembert, chocolat éclair. Les chefs sont prêts Suzette, you.
La meunière, c'est un bouchon lyonnais. Un bouchon, c'est une maison qui a à peu près 100 ans chez moi, et c'est une cuisine lyonnaise authentique. Les mères lyonnaises étaient des femmes qui cuisinaient dans des maisons bourgeoises, et dans ces maisons, elles faisaient quoi? Elles récupéraient les abats que les bourgeois ne voulaient pas et les cuisinaient pour elles. Voilà, et au fur et à mesure, elles ont ouvert leur restaurant.
And you can see kind of like the way the restaurant is set up. It's very close together. You're kind of back-to-back tables wise, just because these are very old buildings. They're very small, and they kind of pack them together. So I am interested to see, like, COVID wise, how that's working out. But yeah.
Et on continuait à faire toutes ces spécialités lyonnaises qui sont les tripes, tous ces produits dits de second choix qui ont emmené à faire notre cuisine lyonnaise. Je vais vous présenter quelques plats lyonnais. Hein. On va commencer par un des classiques de la cuisine lyonnaise qui est la quenelle de brochet. La quenelle de brochet est une sorte de soufflé, une pâte à choux avec du brochet dedans que l'on fait cuire, qui gonfle. Et elle est servie avec une sauce, là c'est une sauce écrevisse. On appelle ça la sauce Nantua. Le tablier de sapeur, c'est une tripe qui est marinée vin blanc, moutarde et panée. Elle est poêlée ou frite généralement, servie avec une petite sauce gribiche et un petit gratin de la mère Fillou. La mère Fillou, c'est une mère lyonnaise qui faisait un gratin de pâte. Et l'oreiller de la belle meunière, c'est un gros pâté croûte à base de foie gras, cœur de canard, poulet de la Dombe, canette de la Dombe, pinta de la Dombe, veau et porc. Il y a 7 viandes. Voilà une partie de mes spécialités lyonnaises. C'est une cuisine plutôt canaille, gourmande, de partage, d'esprit. Voilà, on a des tables, on vient, on s'assoit et c'est gourmand. Voilà.
So yeah, lots of meat. Meals like that are always served with bread and water, and usually salad as well. So that's kind of why there isn't a lot of side dishes to it too. And if anyone has heard of like a Michelin star or kind of that concept, it's like the rating, the like distinction that restaurants that are really nice get all around the world. And it came from France. And so like if you go to New York and there's a lot of Michelin star restaurants there, or like big cities, and it'll always have this big red sign outside the door because they want people to know that it's like a internationally recognized Michelin star. And then it'll also say the date of when they received it. Yeah. All right, you guys are doing well.
It's funny. It's the Michelin man from the tire company.
Yeah, I should have looked into. I should have looked into if there's any relation between the two. But yeah, because that's how we can remember it. It's the Michelin man. All right. I always do that. All right, next. French toast did not come from France. Vrai ou faux?
No, I don't. I think this one's false also. I don't think the French fry even come from France.
Oh, that's my next question. It'll come. Perfect. So correct. It did not come from France. It came from way back in the day. I think it's kind of unknown who specifically made it up, but it was like the Roman Empire area. But there is French toast in France. They do serve it every now and then, or breakfast places or something like that. And it's called pain perdu. So the first word pain means bread. The second word means lost. So it translates to lost bread because back in the day they would make French toast from like stale bread or bread that's about to go bad. So they kind of made it nice. So lost bread. That's what it translates to. So the next one, Roger. Okay, yep. French fries do not come from France. True or false? And Destiny, you can chime in too anytime. All right, we're gonna go with Roger's answer. It is true. Yeah, true. They do not come from France. Originally from Belgium. So you see that picture on the right side. It's kind of like served in a cone for the fries, sauce on top, or sometimes the sauce like in a little cup. And then that thing sticking out is like a little baby fork. And you kind of like stab your fries and eat it with like a baby fork. And this guy, he went to this really famous fry place.
My name is Marcus Lund, and I'm going deaf. I wish I could fly. The plan was simple: road trip across America.
And I've been here before, and they're very, very good fries. And yeah, this video shows a lot.
What? We're in Place Jourdan here in Brussels city center. Apparently these are the best French fries in the world. I saw this on a documentary in Germany on TV once, and ever since I was like 14, I've been wanting to come here. The best French fries in the world, the best of something in the world. I'm super excited, and let's go check it out. People are literally lining up for these French fries, and they are so popular here, you can take them into any bar. Everywhere it says fries are welcome, you can eat your French fries at the bar. How cool is that? Maison Antoine is a true staple within the culture and tourism of Brussels. The small French fry bistro boasts an incredible menu of over 20 different homemade dipping sauces for your French fries. The French fries are thick cut and double fried in beef fat, which makes it a unique way to anywhere else in the world. So I finally got my hands on some. The line was really long. They serve a lot of different sauces with these. I chose mayo because I've always been eating French fries with mayo. I'm not a big ketchup guy. 12 years in the making. I've been waiting for this moment for a while. I don't really know what to say. I'm a little nervous. They're phenomenal. They are cooked in beef fat. They are absolutely phenomenal. They're crispy. They have such a crazy good texture. I think I'm gonna cry. They're unlike any French fry I've ever had in my life. They're super chewy yet so crispy. They have like the perfect texture, and the flavor is like, it's meaty. Ophelie's local. She's from here. Is this the first time you tried these?
Yeah. I love them.
They're good. They're delicious. They're very good. They're unlike any other French fry I've ever had. I like to put on more mayo than there is actually potato. And like most people here, they go to the bars next door, eat the French fries, and enjoy it with a cold beer. Cheers, guys.
So I think it shows a lot that the bars around it know that it's such a tourist spot. They're like, yeah, you can eat your fries here, just because you saw that there wasn't a lot of seating around there. But yeah, and I also wanted to include the menu. So on this left side, I wanted to show it because on the left side, you see all the different kinds of sauces. And a lot of them, I wouldn't even be able to guess what it is. Like at the bottom, you see like a Brazil sauce or like a chicken sauce. No idea what that would taste like. When I was there, I tried out this one, the Provençal, and it was kind of like herby, which it was pretty good. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool that there's this whole super famous place that mostly just serves fries. But that's Belgium, not France. Okay, another thing, true or false, France is the #1 producer of wine.
This is a hard one.
It's hard.
If I had to guess, I would say that it's either between France or Italy.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah. I got this wrong. I had to look it up, but totally correct. You guys are both right. It's actually the number one is Italy, but I think France is like second or third. And then Spain was on that list too, which I was kind of surprised, but yeah. But wine is very, very, very popular in France, especially in the south of France too. Okay, true or false? McDonald's in France serves macarons. And if anyone has had macarons here in the picture, they're like very delicate, kind of more expensive.
I had macarons actually in Savannah, Georgia, at a place that only does macarons. They're really good. The place I can't remember what it was called, but it's right there in town, Savannah. But I'm gonna say this is true only because I know like McDonald's in Japan serves crazy stuff that only you would find in Japan. So I'll say this is probably true.
Okay. Destiny, do you have any guesses? Or have you had macarons before?
I've never had one, but I've wanted to try. But I'm gonna say it's true as well because I mean I know here we have they sell pies and cookies, so
yeah, true. I was trying to think of a place that I know around here that even has macarons, but there's such a specialty item and can be kind of expensive. Roger, if you remember when you bought them, how expensive they were just for one. But they're really good.
I want to say they were like $1.50 a piece at the place where we got like a pack of 2 dozen, and it was pretty expensive, but we shared with some friends.
Mm-hmm. And they're small too. So, but you guys are both correct. Well done. So the McDonald's in France has this little pastry section, like a McCafe. And so this is kind of the display case that they have in the McDonald's. I think I have a closer picture in the next slide. Yep, here we are. So a McDonald's around here would definitely not have that, but they have a whole bunch of pastries besides macarons. And you can see even here at the bottom, it's kind of blurry, but the price there, it says 370 euros for one macaron, which is crazy. Because that would probably be about $4 for one. But yeah, I definitely went down a rabbit hole of different international McDonald's and how Roger, you were saying each country kind of has their own twist to different McDonald's, which is so cool. I think the one in Japan had sushi, or the one in Vietnam had soups, or I don't know. It was just really interesting to see the different ones. So that's the one in France. Next, okay, true or false? In France, the dish ratatouille includes small bits of rat meat.
Corey said he wants to watch that.
No. It's a classic. But
no, I don't think this has rat meat.
Okay. I didn't want to scar him or anything like that, so thankfully, it's false. The name just happens to have the word rat in it, which is an English word anyways. So I have this little video of how to make ratatouille, and it's mostly just vegetables. I don't think there's any.
Yeah, I was going to say it's vegetables. It's a bunch of different vegetables.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me play this.
Most people think the key to losing weight only has to deal with 2 factors: diet and exercise.
Hi guys, it's Olga. So I don't know if you've seen the Disney movie Ratatouille. If you haven't, I highly recommend it because it's really cute. The main character of the movie is Remy, who happens to be a rat. And also also a very talented chef. In the movie, he prepares a popular French dish called ratatouille, which is sliced vegetables baked in heavenly roasted pepper sauce. So this is exactly what we're going to recreate today. There are many different variations of ratatouille, but I'm going to stay as close as possible to the version that was shown in the movie. Ratatouille is usually served as a side dish, and it has a very nice presentation, which I think is going to look amazing on any holiday dinner table. I've been obsessed with this recipe for years, and I cannot wait for you guys to give it a try. Let's get started. Let's start by preparing the sauce, which is actually my favorite part of this dish. You will need peppers. I usually use a combination of red and yellow bell peppers, tomatoes, onion, and some oil. Here I have grapeseed oil. And finally, salt and pepper for seasoning. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Place peppers on a baking tray and roast for 40 to 45 minutes. The peppers are ready when they become soft and their skin is wrinkly. Place peppers in a bowl and cover with saran wrap. Since the peppers are still hot, they will continue steaming this way. You want to let them sit like this for about an hour. Meanwhile, roughly dice the onion. Since we're going to blend our sauce, there is no need to cut it all nicely. Then you want to peel the tomatoes and dice them as well. After cooling for an hour, take your bell peppers and remove the skin. It should come off pretty easily. When you're done, go ahead and cut them as well. So now that we have everything prepped for the sauce, let's heat a little bit of oil in a large pot and saute the onion for 4 to 5 minutes until it becomes translucent. Next, add the pepper and cook for another couple of minutes. Finally, add the tomatoes and stir everything well. Season with salt and pepper to taste and let the mixture cook for another 5 to 7 minutes until the sauce thickens up. Place the veggies in a blender. Today I'm using my Vitamix, but you can also use a hand blender for this. Blend until smooth. I must admit I love the sauce so much that I started doubling the recipe because I could never get enough. Now if you turned off your oven, preheat it to 350 degrees again. Next we're going to slice our vegetables. I like using zucchini, eggplants, and tomatoes. When you buy them, try to make sure that they are similar in size. We're slicing them in circles and you want them to have the same diameter. As always, check out my website fablunch.com for exact measurements and directions for this recipe. Once you're done slicing the vegetables, get a casserole or a baking dish. This is the one I'm using today. It's about 9 inches in diameter. Pour all of the sauce into the casserole and spread it with a spoon. Now the fun part begins. Take your sliced vegetables and start arranging them along the outer edge of the dish. You want to alternate them so you get this cool pattern. When you're done, this is what your casserole should look like. The last step is to prepare the herbal seasoning that will go on top. You will need some oil, garlic, fresh herbs. I'm using dill and parsley, salt and pepper. You want to combine all of the ingredients in a bowl and mix it all together. When you're done, pour the seasoning on top of the sliced vegetables.
So I think that design is truly kind of what makes a ratatouille, and that's how it's so recognizable. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So what was I going to say? So in the movie, let's see, it kind of shows it. So if you guys have ever watched the movie, so they work in a really kind of fancier restaurant. But ratatouille doesn't have to be such a fancy dish. It's also typically not like the main dish. It'll be like a side dish to the chicken or a side dish to some sort of other meat. And when I was in France, you know, like frozen heatable meals that you can just have like for lunch or something like that, there were ratatouille versions of that. So I definitely had my version of that too, but also in a restaurant. But no meat in there, no rats in there. But yeah, let's see. I think I have just a few more. Okay, in France, everyone says bon appetit before they eat. True or false? Okay.
I'm gonna say no on this one also.
No to this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna say there's probably another saying.
I have no clue.
Has anyone even like kind of heard this phrase, or it kind of sounds familiar-ish to you?
Yeah, I've heard this saying, but like I said, I feel like there's probably something else. That they say. It's just like in Greek when they greet or whatever. There's different sayings, different. So I feel like it's probably the same here. There's probably something different that they say.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm going to say yeah, just to be a little bit different. I think everybody says it before every meal.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that I finally got Roger wrong because he's been on too good of a streak. But it's very true. The French culture is strongly tied to the food. So in France, a lot of the time, there is a dedicated lunchtime. So, offices are not open between 12 to 1. Schools don't have class between 12 to 1 because everyone goes and eats lunch. It's a very social thing. It's not more of like, oh, I need to eat because I'm hungry. It's more of like, oh, it's time to eat. It's time to enjoy the people around me. It's a social thing. So yeah, and then yes, everyone says bon appetit before they eat, kind of more than they'll say grace before they eat. And when you pronounce it, you don't say that last T at the end. You just say bon appetit. If you hear that, you don't say the T at the end. And it's everyone says it. So even if you walk past someone, I remember when I was in France, I would be eating in the cafeteria, and like one of my professors would walk by and he would be like, oh, okay, bon appetit. Like everyone would say it to each other. And like sometimes if you're like on a hike or like walking through a park and you pass by like a group of strangers like sitting on the floor having lunch together, you know how sometimes like when you're on a hike around here and you pass someone, you kind of like nod or like, I don't know, something like that. When you pass them, if you pass them and they're eating, everyone always says bon appetit to strangers around them, just because they're like, okay, enjoy your meal, enjoy your time together. So French food culture is very unique. And I think maybe I went by those too fast today. But yeah, let me see if there's anything else. This is my last.
It seems like America is the only place where people just rush through lunchtime. Really.
Yeah, so true. Or like skips lunch, or definitely when we had a French professor, French Fulbright teacher here last year, it was weird for him to see like people eating lunch at their desk, or like everyone was eating lunch separately. Like it was so strange for him. He had to kind of adapt to that a little bit because he was expecting everyone to go together to the cafeteria, eat lunch at the table. So yeah, that was something he had to adjust to for sure. And yeah, I think that's also a very American thing to like eat at your table or skip meals or just kind of shove a granola bar down your throat so you can have something to eat. But in France, it's very different. While I was on a rabbit hole on YouTube after looking at international McDonald's, oh, Kaylin, I guess I can ask you, we were, one of our questions was a true or false that France has macarons in their McDonald's, which they do. And then we were talking about how different countries' McDonald's has different things. Does Ireland McDonald's have, I don't know, potatoes or, stew? I don't know.
No, Irish McDonald's is, I mean, it's not exactly the same as American McDonald's because a lot of the sort of the deals and stuff and the like Irish McDonald's do like I don't know if it's the same over here. They'll do like featured meals, so like at different parts of the year they'll serve different stuff. When I was younger, I remember, I don't know if they still do this, but when I was younger, like if you got a Happy Meal, you got a toy, and the toy depended on maybe whatever movie was out or whatever, that sort of way. So they updated the toy. I don't know if it was the same over here too, probably. So the toys were updated, and there's some things you get, like, I mean, you get the breakfast in McDonald's in Ireland is more like an Irish breakfast than the breakfast in McDonald's over here. But I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the main meals and stuff are the same. There's not really much difference in terms of that, I don't think.
that makes sense. I know back in the day when we had, well, I mean, I think we still do have like kids' toys. It was very much like whatever movie or book or character was popular. I don't really know what it is now. I think it's definitely downgraded to what it was from back in the day.
Do they still do toys in Happy Meals?
I think so.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and I haven't. Well, fair enough. I mean, I haven't had a Happy Meal in years, so it's hard to say. But I just feel like that's something you see less often. I don't know. That was like as a kid, McDonald's was a big treat for me because like you got a toy and stuff as well. So it was like, oh, like you know, McDonald's. We were bribed with McDonald's all the time. If we were good, we'd get to go to McDonald's and we'd be good. You know, sort of way. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I just didn't know if that was still a thing or not.
Yeah, that's true. I know there was a time where they would like give little books and stuff like that instead of toys, for like little Happy Meal treats. Or I know there was a time where you can exchange the Happy Meal toys if you wanted like an ice cream cone instead, and you would give back the toy. I don't know if they still do that now, or if that was just a Chick-fil-A thing. I don't know, but that's what I would usually do as a kid. And let's see. Oh, and then still on the McDonald's train. In France, they call it McDo instead of McDonald's. That's very popular.
Yeah,
So
in Ireland it's common enough to call it Mickey D's.
Mickey, we call it here too sometimes. Mickey.
You call Mickey D's as well?
Well, I didn't know if it was more of an older generation thing. That's what my mom and dad would always call it, but I've never heard someone my age call it Mickey D's.
Yeah, we would all call it Mickey D's.
Mickey. Okay, cool. The last video I have, I think it's really interesting. It's school lunches around the world. Let's see if it goes to it. So what I do while this ad plays, it's a pretty fast video, but if you take a look at the types of food, the quality of the food, and also like the plating that it's on, because it's different per country as well. When I was looking at a lot of different YouTube videos, I noticed that the US had a lot of styrofoam, a lot of plastic, a lot of plastic utensils and napkins, but then in school lunches around the world, they use and in France, they use recyclable or rewashable trays that people kind of like, they dump the food out and then they rinse it out and reuse it for the next day. But yeah, all right, so here we go. I was really interested in this. I was hoping Chester would be in here because I think Nigeria is in here. I wanted her to fact check this, but here we go. I'll pause this here. You see how this is the only country that this video shows that has 4-course meals, and you see how it's kind of different portions. If you go to a cafeteria, most of the time, this was kind of in American cafeterias too, but you would always be able to pick one meat, one side, one cheese, one dessert. So you would have that whole option to have the whole kind of full course meal. And I thought it was interesting that they showed this in the video as well. Pretty fast video, but you see how like here in Korea they use those more tin trays. Philippines, I don't think this is very true, but that's a banana leaf, I don't think they would really do that for lunch, but they do eat off of banana leaves a lot. And then what was another one? This India one, it was in a pot. So I think that was pretty interesting to show for different cuisines as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Does anyone have any comments or questions or anything that surprised you today?
Not really.
Not really.
Are there any restaurants locally to us that would actually serve like actually French style multi-course type stuff?
Not that I can think of. I feel like definitely if you go to a bigger city like Charlotte or Raleigh, they would have a nicer restaurant, a nicer fancy restaurant. But I'm in Greensboro, and even in Greensboro, I can't think of a good French style restaurant. But there are a few, very few French bakeries-ish, or they kind of blend together, European bakeries. There's one in Greensboro that I know. Let's see. I think it's called maybe the Bakery or something like that. And I didn't talk too much about pastries today because I could spend a whole hour on that alone. So that will come another day. But yeah, it's nothing super French. There is a place in Charlotte called Amelie's. If anyone has heard of it or been there, they have a lot of French pastries, a lot of macarons, which is cool. Let me pull up their website. And they have multiple locations. Oops, I'm not sharing the screen, am I? Let's see. Here we go. Let's do pastries. No pictures. I was hoping for pictures. But see, they have a lot. They have a lot of French macarons, and they're decent sizes. Croissants and tarts, creme brulee. So this is definitely more on the pastry and sweet side. But in terms of food, not super much. But yeah, I wish. I will say that this is pretty French, a tartine, and that's like a half slice of bread, and then you put toppings on top. There you go, like that. That's also very French too. But you typically wouldn't have that wouldn't be a whole meal unless it's like super loaded with meats and cheese and vegetables and stuff like that. But yeah, anything else that surprised you?
Can I just ask? I don't even know if you know the answer to this. But just so you know how. So in Ireland, you know those like when you have chopped fried potatoes and you serve them with your dinner. We call them in Ireland. We call them chips, but you guys call them French fries.
Yeah. Okay. So
did they originate in France or?
That was one of the true or false ones. I think.
Okay, sorry. I apologies for coming in. I missed that.
No, it's okay. I might have lost it. I'll show you. So it's not actually from France,
okay.
As well as French toast, if that's a thing in Ireland.
Yeah, we would eat French toast. Yeah. So it's not from France either.
No, it is from. I'm gonna pull it back up. Here you go. Let me get better at share screen. Am I still doing it? Oh, I'm not. Here we go. So they're more from Belgium. And in Belgium, there's this very, very famous French fry stand, but it's a huge stand. But they kind of serve it in like a little cone shape.
Yeah.
And they put the sauce on top. That small thing is like a baby fork that you kind of stab and eat it with. And in France, they call fries frites. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more of the fries translation than chips. But yeah, not French. Neither is French toast. So it's interesting how that works out. but I don't know if there's anyone else outside of UK or Britain that doesn't call them fries.
The world over, it seems to be French fries the world over, but I don't know. I think they're made differently though. To be fair, like the word, because usually French fries, whenever I think of French fries, they're like, you know, the real skinny sort of ones, like McDonald's ones. Those are kind of what I think of as French fries, whereas chips are like big and thick type of thing. So like, have you ever seen a picture of like fish and chips or anything?
Yeah, I think
Like
they're
chips are
usually,
kinda,
in my American mind, are they more of wedges?
kind of
Like-
closer to wedges, but not without the wedge shape, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I think what we would call them would be like a steak fry.
Okay.
Fry.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. This is like
Yes, so those are
classic.
You know, so but even at home, like the ones there on the left, the picture underneath that, like those are thinner. So that would be more like what I would assume would be French fries, but I'd still call them chips.
Okay.
Like at home, I would never order fries. I would order chips. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When I think of chips, it's the thick ones that I think of first.
Yeah, this is.
You call them steak fries.
Yeah, that's the exact word, especially for this. This is like a classic steak fry shape. When it gets a little more curved, it's more of like a questionable. Oh, those are lemons. When it gets a little curved here, it's like a questionable wedge.
Yeah.
But
would you eat those specifically with steak then, as opposed to like thin French fries, or why are they called that?
Most like, well, now most steakhouses actually serve the small French fries, but most steakhouses around here would serve the larger fries with a steak as an option other than a baked potato or.
Okay, is that's specifically with steak as opposed to like if you ordered chicken or if you ordered something else, like you probably get the thin ones, but you get the thick ones for steak.
Well, if you actually ordered from at a steakhouse for chicken, you would probably get the steak fries. That's probably the only ones they carried.
That's interesting. I must remember that. Go get myself some, because I prefer the thicker ones than the thin ones.
I like them all.
I think most of them now though have gone to the thin, but yeah, if you look for them somewhere, you can ask them if they have steak fries or if they have the small fries, and they could tell you the difference, whether they have them or not.
Perfect. Thank you both. That's helped.
Lots of different fries. And early on, I was also talking about, Roger brought it up, you guys have talked about digestive cookies or biscuits. That's definitely not a thing here, but I think it's more of a European thing, and the French definitely have those in the grocery stores as well for after a long meal. But yeah, I didn't know if there was any biological or scientific help that it does to your body in terms of digestion. Yeah.
Who knows? But what I will say, there, if you ever have a cup of tea, they're the ideal biscuit for tea. But you have to be very careful when you dip it in, because if you hold it for too long, the biscuit breaks and you end up with a big soggy mess in your tea. You know, and digestives tend to break very, very quickly and easily in tea, so you have to be careful. But they're the ideal dipping biscuit for tea. So there you are.
Yeah. They kind of just look like plain shortbread cookies to us. Not so much a biscuit. But yep, they have them in rolls like this in France as well, just like that, or a box. But yeah, anything else? Well, there's my attendance sheet. Anything else? Or any other comments that you guys had from French food, French culture? All right. Well, now I was saying how this presentation was really fun for me, but also kind of dangerous because I haven't had lunch yet, and it was really fun to and there was all these videos of this really good food, and and the fries one really got me. But yeah, so Think
in the cafeteria after this, like it.
yeah, yeah, and then think about how the cafeteria looks in different countries. But thank you guys for coming, merci, and I guess we'll be back next week. If you guys have any other ideas, I might just go with pastries just to follow this one up because I think that would be really fun. But yeah, all right, well, have a good week. Happy Valentine's Day to anyone that wants to celebrate it, and we'll see you next week.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Hi.
Bye.